In this video, I'm sharing about how to quickly break negative thought patterns. So like when your mind is kind of spinning out of control with obsessive thoughts, or you feel really triggered by something and you feel like your mind's just kind of spinning out of control. These are really simple techniques that can stop that momentum and help you redirect your mind back to a higher vibration from which you can manifest more positive outcomes. If you are new to my channel, then welcome. My name is Adrianne. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on my channel we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that is something you're interested in, I invite you to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. So the simple techniques that I want to share with you today are things that I have kind of developed and learned about to help myself really over the past maybe a few months or up to a year or so, when I've had some really triggering things happen. And you know, when something kind of like traumatic or triggering happens and you just find that you can't stop thinking about it, and even though you know that just kind of obsessing over it and trying to think about what you could have done differently, or like just rehashing what the person said or what happened, is just kind of adding to the negative manifesting momentum, but you just can't stop. These are the things that I've come to use when I've been in those situations that have helped me finally kind of get my mind to be quiet about the situation, and then be able to, once I've slowed the momentum with these techniques, be able to redirect it towards more positive thoughts. And that's been able to happen much more easily once I've been able to, just rein in the momentum and slow my mind down using these really simple techniques. So I'm really excited to share those with you today. But before I share the techniques with you, I want to share 3 things that I think are kind of foundational understandings that are good to have about breaking negative thought patterns. The first thing that's helpful to understand is don't try to stop it, replace it. What I mean by this is basically like law of attraction 101. We can't really, if we tell ourselves to stop thinking something, it's like we're just going to think more of the thing that we tell ourselves to stop thinking, because we're still focused on it. And so law of attraction is still bringing us more thoughts about it. And so that's why kind of like trying to push away the thoughts or trying to like avoid them even is not always the right approach, not usually the right approach, because, you know, a kind of a common saying about this is whatever you resist persists. And that's another kind of saying in popular culture that has this underlying basis in law of attraction. So instead of like trying to stop the thoughts, we want to instead replace them with something else. And so the techniques that I'm going to share are going to be about replacing the thoughts with something that's really easy, that gets your mind focused in a new direction. And that naturally brings me to the other thing that is helpful to understand. Point number 2 is stay off the topic for now. I know sometimes this is easier said than done, especially if something really significant has happened or like really challenging or triggering. Then it's natural that our mind wants to replay it and kind of rehash it and try to analyze it or figure it out or understand it or make up a story about it. But the thing to understand is that when we are in kind of that lower vibration where we're feeling in pain, or we're feeling triggered, or we're feeling upset by something, we've got these kind of stories spinning from that vibration. That's not the level of consciousness that we want to be thinking about the situation from, because, you know, a lot of times that's just going to lead to more and more spinning. We're never actually going to be able to get to the bottom of a situation that we feel kind of overwhelmed by or stuck within. What we want to do is give ourselves the space to just kind of let go of the situation, let go of the story, and focus instead on raising our vibration so that we can receive from higher consciousness, or let ourselves think about the situation from a higher vibration, where it's going to be a lot easier to think more clearly and receive solutions and insights that are going to be helpful. And that's kind of another thing that can be, again, like I was saying, easier said than done at times, because part of our mind is going to really want to grab on to what happened and to that story of what we think it means, or what we could have done differently or just the situation itself. But in order to raise the vibration and move beyond the challenging situation and receive the new manifestations, the positive insights and thoughts that want to come in about it, we have to be willing to let go of the story, at least for a little while, just so we can get our vibration back up and be able to be in a better place of actually resolving the situation instead of just like continually spinning in this negative thought momentum. And then thing to understand number 3 is expect the bounce. So this is actually a good news thing. This is a positive thing. What I mean by expect the bounce is that if we have been really challenged by something or really triggered by something or had a really negative manifestation happen, then automatically that means we have then asked, vibrationally, energetically of the universe, of source energy for the opposite, for something better. And we've asked really strongly, naturally. And like Abraham says, whenever you ask, it is given. Source hears that and answers it. And so as soon as we are able to raise our vibration, and through some of the techniques that I'm going to share in just a moment, then you can expect to get a really powerful energetic bounce. Or like the kind of the metaphor that I like to think about is it's almost like a rubber band effect, where it's like you have pulled back the rubber band through like this resistance or this negative momentum of thought that this situation has triggered within you. But as soon as you're able to release that resistance, it's like releasing that rubber band, and then it kind of shoots you forward into more of a positive feeling and positive energy and positive manifestation than you otherwise would have been if you hadn't asked so strongly, if that situation hadn't caused you to ask so strongly. So by applying some of these techniques and raising your vibration, you can find that you feel way better, and even about the specific topic, like way better and manifest better than and like get the positive results of the negative situation, which is awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the methods. And so method number 1 is counting. What I mean by counting is actual counting of the numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Usually you'll do this silently in your head though. I came up with this one a couple of weeks ago when something really challenging happened. A person that can really knows how to push my buttons in all the right ways. I'm working on kind of changing my buttons or not putting them out there so much, but the interaction with this person was really triggering, really pushed my buttons. And so I just couldn't stop thinking about this conversation and just what had happened with this person. And so I was like, wow, if I could just, I remembered what Abraham has said about 17 seconds and 68 seconds. If you don't know, what they've said is 17 seconds, if you can focus on a thought for as little as 17 seconds, that is long enough for the universe to bring you a matching thought. And 68 seconds is like 17 seconds times whatever, but if you can hold the same thought or thought of a similar vibration for 68 seconds, that is long enough for the law of attraction to give a new response to that vibration, for you to be able to manifest new results based on that vibration. And so when I was kind of finding myself just like turning over this negative interaction over and over in my head, and I couldn't stop, and it was really painful and really challenging, I thought to myself, okay, if I could just like get myself to think about something different that felt better for 17 seconds or 68 seconds, and that would be enough for me to kind of break the momentum and get my mind to slow down. Because when your mind starts spinning, it just feels like it's out of control. The thoughts are thinking themselves. And so I thought, why don't I just try counting to 17 seconds or 68 seconds? So I did. I started just saying in my head, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. I added the 1,000 in just because I thought, okay, that'll help me make sure the counting is long enough to be an actual second. And so I did this, and the result was fantastic. Being able to just focus on the counting was so simple. It didn't require any advanced thought, or, it wasn't challenging at all, but it was enough of an effort for my mind to kind of focus on this counting that I was able to use that to, like I said earlier, replace the negative thought pattern with this really simple, really basic pattern of this counting. And so in doing that, I could feel my vibration start to rise already, even after just about a minute of this counting. And I kept it up, and that was like the only thing that really helped me get my mind to stop thinking about this negative situation and for me to start to get some breathing room. And I kept it up over the next few days after that, when I found myself kind of, getting caught back up in what had happened. I turned back to the counting, and I would do things like count to up to 68, and then I would just start over again and do 68 again. Or I would just kind of keep going with the counting and see how high I could count to. Or I would also, if I found that just kind of hearing myself count in my head wasn't kind of distracting me enough, I would try to visualize what the numbers looked like as I was counting. So trying to see the numbers, or even give them each like a color too, or just ask like, okay, what color is the number 1, or what color is the number 2? And then just see what my imagination gave me. So it's kind of like a simple way to meditate, or to kind of bring yourself more into the present moment awareness. But it worked really well for me. The funny thing about this too is that actually a couple of years ago for Christmas, my sister gave me a collection of books, and she gave me this book, which is actually all about counting. And I didn't really read it or look at it too much. It's called The Cult of Counting. So apparently counting is a thing. It's not just me that found that helpful. These people are all about it as well. It sounds really simple. It sounds deceptively simple, but I found it to be super effective, and it's definitely a tool that I will use in the future again, I think, if I ever am having this problem again of just not being able to get my mind to calm down and raise my vibration about a topic. And yeah, like I was saying before, the good thing about this is that once you get your mind to kind of calm down through something simple like counting, or the other two processes that we're going to talk about here in just a minute, then you're able to receive your intuition's insights about the situation. And that was like what happened for me after some time of counting. I was able to start to see the situation from a better feeling perspective, and I was able to then reorient myself and kind of ask myself, okay, what do I want to manifest within the situation? How can I get aligned with that again? And I had the space in my mind to be able to actually do that because of this simple, very simple process of just literally silent counting. Method number 2 is present moment body awareness. This is very similar to the counting, except this one is more like, counting can be kind of mental exercise sometimes, and this one, by present moment body awareness, I mean by this to get really present in the sensations and the feelings of your body in the present moment. And I like using this one at times too. I used to use this before I came up with the counting for these kind of situations. And also I have returned back to it when I got kind of tired of the counting, or I found that the counting was kind of making me too mental, and I felt that, yeah, it felt better to be more present in my body, and the sensations felt more comforting. And so basically, yeah, like I described, this is just about when you notice yourself spinning in your head, see if you can get more just present in your body, like noticing any physical sensations you can notice, and see if that helps bring you into the present moment and gives you a focal point. The other thing I like to do that's kind of related to this is kind of look around my immediate environment and just kind of name the objects in the environment. So I might say like, okay, there's a white door, there's a string of text, on the wall, there's a plant, there's a hat on the bookshelf. So just kind of bringing yourself into the present moment. This might be called generally mindfulness. I'm not sure if it falls under that umbrella of that term or not. I haven't studied that in depth, but basically it is kind of just being mindful of your body and of the environment. And I used this one a few months ago really successfully to kind of help me notice a negative thought pattern in its earlier stages, because sometimes my thoughts would kind of maybe start going off into a negative direction about a topic that had been challenging for me. And if I was practicing being more present in my body, I would be able to feel more quickly when I started to kind of tense up or have a little sensation of pain or something at the thoughts that were starting to gain a little bit of momentum, that were challenging. And if at that time I could just redirect my focus to just how my body was feeling, then that would help me kind of disengage from the thoughts that were causing the tension or causing the painful sensations, and just get back into this sense of presence and the sense of greater like peace or ease in my body. So again, this works similarly to the counting. It's just a great way to replace the negative thoughts with something that is non-triggering, that's something that helps you raise your vibration. And then when your vibration is raised, you can reapproach the topic from a better feeling perspective and have a much more successful time manifesting good insights and good results with the topic. And then finally, method number 3, I would call calm, engaging activity. So kind of following with the train of thought of where counting is a little bit of a mental exercise, and then present moment body awareness kind of gets you more present in your body in the present moment. What I mean by calm, engaging activity is doing something that kind of gets your body involved, gets you involved in the present moment, and is engaging, is calming, literally for me. So if you watch my previous video, you know that one of my goals for 2024 is to develop my illustration skills and my style as an illustrator. And so I'm doing a lot of drawing exercises and practices right now. And one of the ones that I'm doing is just literally practicing drawing straight lines, drawing curved lines, drawing circles and ellipses and things like that. And so for me, it's like sometimes when I have been, again, having like the challenge of a situation bothering me, if I can go and just kind of draw a whole page of curved lines or circles or something, that's enough of engagement for my mind and focus, where again, it's kind of like a meditation. All of these are kind of like similar to what meditation does, where it gets you to focus and gets your vibration to raise back to its natural good feeling place or better feeling place. And so, yeah, other calm, engaging activities could be something like knitting. I used to knit. I don't really do that so much anymore, but I know kind of needlework or knitting or crafting in some way. So anything like that just kind of like you can get your mind to really focus on, and it's maybe a little bit challenging. Like, you know, for me, drawing, like trying to draw a bunch of straight lines or trying to draw perfect circles, that's can be pretty engaging and kind of challenging. And so that gets my mind engaged in doing that, which gives me a break from the negative thought patterns, and then naturally causes the vibration to rise and the pattern to be interrupted. Okay, so those are my 3 methods that are super simple but super effective. Don't underestimate the power of these methods. I mean, if I hadn't started counting, I would still probably be spinning in my head about this negative situation because it was very triggering and very challenging. So counting kind of saved my life. So I hope you found some value in these methods and that you'll consider trying them if you ever do find yourself in this situation where your mind is kind of running away with itself into places that you know are not good for your manifesting. Remember that you don't want to try to stop thinking those things. You just want to replace it with something that's easier to feel good about, and that's easier because it's neutral, because it's like simple. It's like counting or present moment body awareness. They're just really simple, really easy, and but can be super effective for raising the vibration and helping you get to that bounce. Think about that bounce too. It's like, it can feel amazing when you've been really in resistance about something, really pushing against a situation or feeling really out of balance because of it, and then you finally get back into balance. There's such a good bounce, such a good positive energy that you can manifest as a result of, like Abraham says, kind of like they talk about how we are like a cork bouncing on the surface of the water. Like that's a high vibration. That's kind of where we naturally are, is like this cork floating on the surface, and you can like hold it down and that's our resistant thoughts. But then when we release that, we naturally like bounce back up to the surface. And when you release the negative thoughts through some of these kind of practices, you're going to be bouncing back on the surface of the water, back in that high vibration that's natural to you, and it feels so good, and that's what I want for you. So hope you found value in this video. And if you would like more manifesting tips and tricks and inspiration from me, then I definitely recommend downloading my free guide to the 7 habits of highly magical people. I have a link to this in the description box below this video, so you can check it out if you're interested. If you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking out this next video all about focus wheels. Focus wheels would be a great next step after this video. That's a practice that really helps you retrain negative beliefs into positive beliefs really effectively, so they don't come up and trigger you anymore. Thank you again for joining me today, and until next time, happy manifesting.